Thank you everyone for joining us for today's desktop workshop on the FY25 leased vehicle replacement request and approval process. I'm going to turn things over to Amber, Chris, and I think Simeon might be doing some of the presentation as well.
Thanks, Stacy, and good morning, everyone. We do want to thank you for taking the time to attend the FY25 leased vehicle request and approval process training today. And this will be the CAM replacement. So I know everyone is eager to see what's coming. So today I will be presenting. I am Amber Robles. I am the Offering Management Branch Chief with GSA Fleet. And Chris Winchell, who is part of my branch, will be assisting me today with the training. So taking a look at what we're going to cover, we'll start out with looking at our FY25 acquisition cycle expectations. We'll cover the key dates for the FY25 leasing acquisition cycle. We'll provide a brief overview of the new process, and then we'll actually do a live demo of the new system and the vehicle selection and approval process. We'll cover some tips and helpful resources to keep in mind for a successful acquisition cycle. And then, as Stacy mentioned, please feel free to type your questions into the Q&A box as they come to you. And we do have some of our team members online that can help assist with answering them. We may flag some to address out loud, but we will try to get all of your questions answered. So starting off with our FY25 expectations and key dates, taking a look at what we've already completed as we've been preparing for the upcoming acquisition cycle, we wanted to make sure that we handled the finalized eligible tag list. So this has actually already been completed. We came up with our list of eligible replacements, and then we reviewed those with FSRs so that they could help finalize the list. And then we shared these out with the agency headquarter fleet managers to allow them to disseminate within their agencies. And so they could be used for planning purposes to start taking a look at what would be eligible and to start planning what you would want to replace those vehicles with. And then only those eligible tags that were on those finalized lists will be loaded into GSAFleet.gov. And so that's taking care of that portion of the process ahead of time before we even get started. Some of the benefits of this are that it allows for early conversations. Hopefully FSRs have been in conversation with their local customers about the upcoming acquisition cycle, their eligible vehicles, and what types of vehicles and options you all will need to meet your mission requirements. And then we're also hoping it allowed for internal communication within your agencies on the suitable replacement vehicles that meet your agency's guidance. So more to keep in mind is that we're obviously having a much later launch date than in prior years as we tried to finalize all the requirements and get the system ready. We do have an anticipated start date of January 22nd, which is next week, so it's fast approaching. We have approximately 2 weeks at each approval level, so things will move pretty quickly once we get started. But we are introducing something new, and we'll cover this a bit more in a future slide, but we're going to allow for the option for up to 2 alternate approvers at each of the approval levels. And we think that having this will help alleviate things getting stuck, vehicle selections getting stuck within the approval process. So we just ask that you all keep things moving. There's no need to wait for the windows that we'll outline or the established deadlines. You should be logging into GSAFleet.gov every day and taking a look at anything that's at your level, whether it's making that initial vehicle request or completing the approvals as the requests move their way through. So make sure to keep things moving as quickly as possible. So taking a look at our key dates, as I mentioned, we are looking to start on January 22nd, which is next week. At that level where the local level is making those initial vehicle replacement selections, we are going to allow a few extra days over that 2 weeks, just because that's when FedFleet will take place. So we wanted to allow a little bit of extra time there. But all of those initial vehicle requests should be to the bureau level approvers by February 7th. The bureau level approvers will have 2 weeks to review those requests and approve and send them to the next level by February 21st. And then the agency level or headquarter level approvals, they will also have 2 weeks with a deadline of March 7th to finalize their approvals and get those vehicle requests to FSR so they can create vehicle orders. We do want to highlight that this will be just solely for the replacement vehicle requests. The additional request process, that functionality has not yet been developed and we'll be working on it. But the release of that will all be dependent on how it goes with the release of the replacement vehicle functionality and any issues that we end up having to address with that. So deadline adherence is critical. It is every year, and this is a slide if you've attended the CAM trainings, you're probably very familiar with. It is every year, but I would say even more so this year just because of how late we're getting started. But by adhering to the approval deadlines, it enables your FSRs to order the replacement vehicles as soon as possible. It reduces the cost to the government due to potential price increases. And then it's going to help minimize the impacts of manufacturer model closeouts. So we'd like to avoid as much rework or changes to your vehicle request as possible. And that can happen when you have different model closeouts and options no longer being available. So want to make sure that we just get things through the process and get those orders placed for you as soon as we can. So communication is key. We ask that everyone maintain frequent communication at all of the different approval levels within your agencies. So your local bureau and agency level, that you keep that communication open, and also that local customers at that local level are communicating frequently with their GSA FSR. We advise, and we're hoping that by providing those eligible tag lists early, that you were able to take a look at that and then see what kind of vehicle, what vehicle type and send would meet your needs. But then also have in mind a potential alternate in case that initial selection is no longer available. And then we ask that you just be proactive and flexible and just keep in mind that this is a new process for everybody and an entirely new system. And so we all just need to work together and remain patient and help each other through it. So next, we're going to touch on the new request and approval process and highlight some information here prior to doing the demo. So taking a look just at, as we compare this new process and new system to CAM, we wanted to start off taking a look at what's the same. And we do believe that a lot of the core functionality does remain the same. It'll just have a new look and feel. So there'll still be multiple approval levels that will be optional to be used by agencies. As I mentioned before, the eligible tag lists were shared with agencies prior to the launch for planning. And then users at every level are still going to have a lot of the same abilities they had before with viewing the headquarter provided agency guidance, selecting a vehicle type and SIN, requesting mission essential options, color requirements, and fuel types. There will be the ability to post comments and upload documentation that can be viewed by within your agency and by your FSR. And then for the approvers, there will be the ability to review a selection and either return it back for changes or send it forward to the next level. And then for everyone, there will be the ability to use filters on screen and also export the data as needed. Taking a look at what's new, we are, as I mentioned, allowing the option for alternate approvers at each level. So there will be a primary approver at the bureau and agency level, but then there is an option that agencies can use to set up to 2 alternates at each of those levels as well. There will be the ability to, in CAM, if those familiar with CAM, on screen, you were only able to view the vehicle requests that were at your particular level awaiting your action. And if you wanted to see everything that was scoped to you, either as a local or for your particular bureau, you would have to click on the vehicle status report. Well, one of the good things about GSAFleet.gov, you'll see in the demo, is that you're able to see all requests, regardless of their status, on screen. And then you're able to use the increased filtering capabilities to narrow that down to be able to see just what you need to take action on. There will be additional information that will be provided on the eligible replacement vehicle. There will be an enhanced vehicle option and selection functionality, as well as if you're selecting a particular option, you'll be able to enter a detailed comment on that option that can be viewed within your agency and also by your FSR. And another new thing is that requests, if they're returned back down to the local level for changes by either the Bureau or the agency, those requests will flow back through the FSR for additional review. Whereas in CAM, the FSR would only be involved in that initial vehicle selection. And if there was any back and forth, they weren't involved. So now they'll be able to see that and offer input along the way as changes are made. And then another big one, and we'll highlight this more on future slides, is that daily notifications will not be provided to users as they were with CAM. So with CAM, users would receive a daily auto-generated email notification if they had something at their level that they needed to take action on, but we're not going to provide that. So like I said, we'll go into that in more detail, but we're just encouraging everyone that's involved in the leasing acquisition cycle to get into GSAFleet.gov every day just to see if anything's there that they need to take action on. And then another one of the big ones that we think everyone will be happy with is that customers will have the ability to track their replacement vehicles all the way from the initial request through the approval and the ordering of the vehicle. And then they'll be able to actually see the vehicle supplier provided delivery information and track that vehicle through delivery through a reporting interface. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Chris, and he's going to talk us through the approval hierarchy that will be set up in GSAFleet.gov.
All right, thank you, Amber. Is my audio coming in good?
Yes.
All right, excellent. Yes, I'm Chris Winchell. I'm with the Offering Management Branch, working with Amber Robles, and we'll be going over the approval hierarchy here as well as the process flow. We'll be going through some of these slides briefly because after this section of the slides, we'll actually be giving a live demo demonstrating all this for you. So it'll be a better opportunity to see this process. So the process hasn't changed too much from how we've done it in the past. There are some updated terminology, and a couple steps that we have added in. So it will start out with the initial FSR review. This is where the FSR will review eligible vehicles that are eligible for replacement this fiscal year. They will then refer those on to the local customer or customer fleet manager. The customer fleet manager will then make their selection of their SIN and options that meet the emission requirements. They should also make sure that they're using the agency guidance and making their selection of their SIN and options on that. They'll then refer that on to the FSR, who will make another review, make sure that the selection is in accordance with the agency guidance, see if there's any issues with it, and then if there are any issues, they will refer it back to the local customer fleet manager to make any changes, or the FSR will, or the other option is they will push it on to the bureau level approver if the agency has selected for a bureau level approver to be in their hierarchy. That is optional. So go on to the bureau level approver. Bureau level approver will review. This was similar to what we called the mid-level reviewer in CAM previously. It's now called the bureau level approver, and those are assigned by each agency and can be updated as needed. The bureau level approver will review those vehicle selections and then either return it back to the local customer if any changes needs to be made, or they will go ahead and push it on to the agency level approver. Next slide, Amber. The agency level approver will, of course, is at the headquarter level. They'll review the selection and make the final approver, or again, if needed, return it back to the local customer to make any changes or edits as needed. If they go ahead and approve it, it'll go back to the FSR. The FSR will do one last final review. And if everything looks good, they will then go ahead and create the requisition in GSAFleet.gov and get the order submitted for that vehicle. Next slide, Amber. Something new that we do have in the GSAFleet.gov approval hierarchy this year is the option for OR approvals at the agency and bureau level. So this means that agencies and bureaus can set up multiple approvers at their levels to have one of those multiple approvers go ahead and make the approval or the return back to the customer. It doesn't have to be a single point of contact in the past, or have to share any type of individual customer numbers or anything amongst multiple people. We can actually set up your GSAFleet.gov account to be one of three approvers at the bureau level or the agency level. So we're hoping that will allow us to more efficiently and timely get approvals through each level. We know that people go on vacation, on leave, out of office, whatever reason. And sometimes in the past that requests have gotten stuck at those levels because there was only one approver that was available to make those selections. These are completely optional to have set up multiple approvers. So if your bureau or agency decides that you do not want to use that multiple approvers as an option, you do not have to do that, and we can keep it as a single approver. On that note, we have received many of the hierarchy approver lists back from agencies and bureaus, but we're still missing a few of them. So please get those in. We need to get those in this week. If you need us to send out another copy of the template to fill out, we can send that back out to you. But once we go live with this replacement process, if we do not have your agency's approver hierarchy, most of those requests are going to default going straight from the local customer straight up to the single headquarter fleet manager. And unless that's how you want to manage it, we need to get your bureau level and alternate approvers in. So next slide, Amber. Creating and editing vehicle requests. Creating and editing a vehicle request, they can only be done in the referred or return status when it's back at the local customer manager level. But when it is there, the additional people that can make those changes or requests in addition to the customer fleet manager at the local level is also the customer administrator, the fleet service representative, the fleet management center manager, and the ordering administrator. And requests that are returned back to the local level for changes will always be rerouted back through the FSR for another review. Next slide, Amber. So we'll touch briefly on the more description on the roles of each person that's involved in the approval process. The fleet service representative, GSA fleet service representative, this is the main point of contact for customer fleet managers and customers out in the field. And they assisted with finalizing the eligible vehicles that are then referred on to the customers. They are also familiar with the agency guidance that are provided by the agency fleet managers. And they discuss projected mission replacements and mission requirements with the local customer and assist local customers with making their replacement vehicle selections as needed. So they are a great source of information. They should be the primary contact. You have any questions with what type of vehicles are available, or what type of vehicle might meet your mission, or any assistance with utilizing the new system, they are the first and best source of information for that for customers. Next slide, please. A customer fleet manager role. So this was the local customer role in the old CAM. Again, this is the person out in the field generally, and they are the ones that are reviewing the eligible vehicle replacements and making the selection, determining whether to select another SIN or the same SIN for the replaced vehicle. They also have the option to select the turn in without replacement. This means that they will be turning in the leased vehicle without selecting or receiving a replacement vehicle. Keep in mind that there are opportunities if you want to turn in vehicles other times of the year. Discuss that with your FSR. If you no longer have a mission need, there may be opportunities to turn in that vehicle. You do not necessarily need to wait for this part of the CAM cycle. Then also there is the option to do not replace this vehicle this year. If you have certain mission requirements or other reasons, discuss that with your fleet service representative to determine whether or not a do not replace this year option and holding that vehicle over to make a selection the following fiscal year, whether that's a better option for you all. The local customer fleet manager will also input all the required information on the replacement vehicle, make their select the preferred options, colors, or any other special instructions that they might have, and they'll also send it on to the next level by the established deadline. Go ahead, Amber. Next slide, Amber. There we go. Thank you. So after they send, local customer fleet manager sends it on, it'll go to the FSR for another review. They'll make sure the agency guidance is good. If everything is good, they'll send it on to the bureau level. If not, they will send it back to the local customer, make sure they communicate with the local customer any changes or suggestions on any updates they need to make. But if not, it'll go on to the bureau level. And next slide, please. The bureau level approver, that's where the bureau level will again review the selection, make sure things again meet agency guidance, and determine whether to approve or return the request, and enter any detail, make sure they're entering the comments, especially if the bureau level returns anything back to the local customer fleet manager, making sure that they're entering comments on what changes need to be made so that the local customer fleet manager knows to make those changes. If not, they will go ahead and send on the request to the agency approver by the established deadline. Next slide, please. So this the agency level approver, this is the agency headquarters, will again review, make sure everything looks good, send back for any changes that might need to be made, or they'll go ahead and do the final approval. Next slide. And then it'll go back to the FSR one more time to do a final review of the selection, make sure that everything meets the mission essential requirements and everything looks good. Any documents or justifications are attached that need to be for any special selections or requirements that the customer has selected. And everything looks good, they'll go ahead and create the vehicle requisition, which will get reviewed again at several levels within GSA internally, and then submitted to the manufacturers as an order. And then one day a new vehicle will show up. Next slide. This is a quick description of different statuses within GSAFleet.gov, and we'll be looking at some of these statuses in the demo here in a minute. May make a little more sense, but the initial status, once the FSR goes ahead and reviews your eligible vehicles that are eligible for this fiscal year, they'll put it into referred status. This is the status that the local customer fleet manager will see their vehicle is in order to make a selection of their SIN options, colors, additional information. We have the FSR review that does review it at multiple times throughout as well, the process, as well as the bureau review and agency review. Next slide. Then you'll have agency approved status, and approved at the FSR status. Or if a request to selection ends up getting returned back to the local customer fleet manager to make any changes, it'll be in return status. And then the status that everybody hopes to see at the end to know that their vehicle is on its way to being ordered and produced and delivered is the requisition created status. And note that the requisition created status does not mean that your vehicle is all of a sudden showing up this next day. It means that the request has been created and it's in the process of being ordered with the manufacturer. The manufacturer then needs to build that vehicle and then needs to deliver it. So there is some time between requisition created and vehicle being delivered. Next slide. Now we going into the live demo. This is what everybody's been waiting for here. And Amber is going to get us set up. She's gonna, both of us are gonna log into the system here to go ahead and give you all a presentation here. And we'll go ahead and get logged in as well.
Okay. All right, thanks, Chris. We're going to start out with the local customer initial vehicle selection. So as a local customer, I would want to log in, and I do apologize. Okay, it let me log in easy. I didn't know if it was going to take a moment. So as a local customer, I would want to log in. And with doing so, I can go under the fleet offerings. You can either do that here with the tiles that are displayed on the homepage, or there's also always the option to go under the offerings menu and then select via fleet offerings. So multiple ways to get there. The next step would be going to click on Start Here for request a replacement vehicle. And this is where all users would go, whether it's to make that initial vehicle selection or to review and approve pending vehicle requests. So we click Start Here. And then here on screen, this is where we had mentioned that enhanced filtering capability. So as a, whatever your role may be, whether it's that local level, the bureau level, or the headquarters, you'll be scoped to see whatever falls under your review. So for that local level, you'll just see your eligible vehicles to make your selections. Bureau would see everything that falls within their assigned bureau or bureaus if they're over multiple. And then the agency level would be able to see everything for the entire agency. So we do encourage you to use these filters. There is the ability to just go ahead and click search without using any of the filters with just your agency. And that would bring up everything, as I mentioned, that's available for your all vehicles. So you would see everything regardless of the request status. My recommendation for narrowing down at the local level what you actually need to review and take action on would just be your agency should be pre-filled. And then I would recommend inputting your customer email. And then here with the request status, here you'll be able to see all of the different request statuses. And as a local level user, I would be in particular looking for those that are either referred, which means they've been referred to me and it's time for me to get in there and make my initial vehicle request. Or you would want to look for return. So that would bring up anything that you've already requested that's been onto a higher level and then may have been returned back down for changes. So for the purposes of the demo, we're going to go ahead and click on referred and then click search. And that will bring up the license plate numbers of the eligible vehicles. There are some other information here. You would just want to go ahead and then you could notice here the request status is also displayed. So you can go ahead and click on the license plate number. And then this will bring up a screen with the top of the screen will be displaying details of the vehicle that has been referred to you for replacement. So as you can see right here on screen, there's already a summary with a lot of pertinent information that you would need to know. Vehicle type, SIN, fuel type, law enforcement designation, telematics, the agency information, your primary POC, your FSR, and then also something new that we've added is that you would have the ability to see the options that were selected on that eligible replacement vehicle. There would also be the ability to click here on the VIN, and I hope that this displays, but I'm hoping. Is it, Chris? Is it pulling up the, it's spinning still.
Yeah, it's still
Okay.
happening.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I was hoping I set up my screen sharing correctly. This will bring up some additional information about the vehicle, and there's a general vehicle overview, but then there's the ability to look up a wide variety of information about that eligible vehicle. Any recalls, mileage history, preventive maintenance, billing history, telematics information. So tons of information there at your fingertips that you can use to assist with making your replacement vehicle selection. So there's that option there. Just to highlight, at any time, there will be the ability to post a comment, and anyone at any level involved in the process will have the ability to do that. So you would click on post a comment, type in whatever the comment might be, and click submit. And then there also be the ability to review the activity and comments at all levels. So if we click here, we can see that I just went ahead as a local level user and entered a comment, but all other comments and then the activity of that vehicle selection as it makes its way through the approval process, will show that at the various levels, but you'll be able to see that here. So to start out, the thing that I would do first as a local level user would be I would refer to my agency guidance. And if you click here, it will bring up a file of your agency's guidance that your agency headquarter fleet manager has provided. And so I'll do as Chris did and just put a little plug in for any agency headquarter levels fleet managers that are on. If you have not provided us with your agency guidance as of yet, we do encourage you to do so that we can make sure that it's uploaded into the system and available to view. But that would be the first step, is just to take a look at that agency guidance to help make the selection. And then the options that are going to be available to me are to replace the vehicle, to turn in the vehicle, or to do not replace. So quickly, I'll just show you what it would look like if I were to select turn in. It will bring up a list of reasons for the turn in. So you would have to either select from one of these reasons that are displayed here, or you can enter in a reason into the comment box. But regardless of what you're selecting here as your reason, we do encourage you to provide additional information in the text box, just so that your bureau level, if you have one, and your agency level are able to review it, as well as the FSR, so they have all the information. It's very similar as well if you're selecting to do not replace the vehicle this year and hold on to it for another year. We do highlight here that this option is subject to approval by GSA Fleet and is not a guarantee, but you have the ability to review the various reasons that are listed here for why you're choosing to hold on to that vehicle. And again, you would just select one of the options or select other and type in a comment. But we do encourage you to put as much information here as possible so that everyone is aware of the reason why you've selected this. For purposes of the demo, though, we're going to go ahead and just click replace vehicle. And then this will bring up the garage address. So if there is a garage address that's been entered into the customer driven data for that particular vehicle, then it will be displayed here. The state and the postal zip code are required fields, as you can see from the stars. But if there's any information that's either missing here or incorrect, you are able to add or edit the address. So you'd want to go ahead and do that. One thing I want to highlight here is that your FSR will be using this garage address to determine where to have your replacement vehicle delivered. So if for any reason, whether maybe you're sending the vehicle somewhere different to be upfit or whatever it might be, if you're planning on having the vehicle delivered to a different city state zip than what's displayed here in the garage address, then we'll encourage you to enter that into the special instructions, which we'll show a little bit later as we work through the request. And also have those discussions with your FSR so that they're aware as well and can make sure that the vehicle is delivered to the right place. So after entering the address, you would want to select if the replacement vehicle will be used for towing. If you select yes, then you will have to provide the maximum combined towing weight of the trailer and load. We're going to leave that as no for purposes of the demo. Next is where you'd actually select the standard item number. So there is an FMR reference here that vehicle selection should be limited to the minimum vehicle and engine size that is mission essential and achieves maximum fuel efficiency. So along the way, there will be some language that we just ask that you keep in mind. And then you'll have the option to select whether you would like to replace the vehicle, the eligible vehicle, with the same standard item number or SIN as you previously had, or select a new one. So if you clicked yes and we continued forward, it would automatically make that same SIN selection as what you previously had. For purposes of the demo, though, we'll select no, so you can get a feel of what that would look like. So you have two options here when you're selecting a SIN. If you already know the SIN that you want to search by, you could type it in here and then select it, and you can proceed. But if you're not sure of the SIN, you just know the type of vehicle that you need, you can click on the vehicle type. And then down below, that will bring up all the standard item numbers or SINs that are available within that vehicle type. So you can scroll through, and then if there are multiple pages, you can look through everything. We'll go ahead and select a 9C sedan for the purposes of the demo. And then at any point, you can go ahead and save the draft, or you can just continue forward. So we'll click next. And then this will bring up, you'll still have your eligible vehicle information here. You'll have the same ability to view the activity and comments, post a comment, review agency guidance. But here is where it'll show us, okay, we've selected a 9C. Here's our garage address. We're not going to be towing using this vehicle. So now we'll have the ability to see our previously selected options to help us with making our selection. There's another note here that optional equipment selection should be limited to what is mission essential, and not all selected options are guaranteed. And options may affect the final lease rate. So just different things to keep in mind there. At the top of the screen here, you'll have the ability to review the minimum requirements for that particular vehicle or SIN, and you can scroll through here to view that information. And then down below, you'll have the ability to add options. So those of you that use CAM are probably aware that there wasn't the ability to actually view the different option codes and descriptions. There was just like a text box where you could enter those in. So this is an enhancement here that you are able to view options that for that particular SIN. And you can scroll through and they're broken out by category, and you can make your vehicle selections. But one thing that we do want to highlight is that these options are based off what's displayed in the federal vehicle standards for that SIN, and it's not actually based off the contract data for that particular year. So there could be a situation where you may select a particular SIN that you may move forward with the request and it's not available on the particular model that's going to be ordered. or there may be different conflicts with options potentially, and they may have to be reworked some. And those are conversations that are going to happen once the request has made its way through and the FSR has had a chance to take a look at it and take a look at actually building the replacement vehicle requisition. And they'll notify you at that point if there's anything that needs to be adjusted in terms of options. But you would just work your way through, and there's the ability when selecting a particular option that you can add a comment, and you would just type in whatever the comment might be and then click submit. And then you can see that that will be displayed there under that option, and that information will move forward with the request. So you would just work your way through the various options and select those that are mission essential. And then you can click on next. And then this will take you to the top will just be more of a read-only view where you're still able to see that referred vehicle information. You can view all of the same information here with the comments and the activity. And then it will show here the options that you've selected or requested on the vehicle. And then there will be the ability to enter some supplementary information. So there's a ability, if you have a specific make or model that you're requiring to meet your mission. Again, that's not always a guarantee because GSA, we order the low bid vehicle with that can meet the mission requirements. But if you have valid justification, which is required if you are making a request for a specific make and model, then that will be reviewed both within your agency and by your FSR to see if it's deemed appropriate. So you can click here for yes, and then there will be the ability to enter the make and model that you're requesting. And it indicates here that if you are doing that, you need to be sure to upload at least one make and model justification in the documentation below. So in the documentation section, there's the ability to upload files, and there are some criteria that they must meet in order to be uploaded that you can review here. Because we chose to enter a vehicle make and model requirement, when we click upload file, you would first click choose from folder, and then you can locate wherever that document might be on your computer. And then from category, there are many reasons why you might be uploading documentation. We have some of the more common reasons or types of documentation outlined here. So there's agency documentation, make and model justification, which is what we're using, a SIN change, technical specification, or other. So you would want to make one of those selections. And then you can enter a few words to help identify the document if required. And then you can click on save. And then here, all levels and the FSR as well will be able to review the type or the category of the documentation, the file name, and any note that you have entered. So this will move forward with the request. There's also the ability to enter special instructions. So if you have a specific color preference for your vehicle, if there's any other information that you feel like your approvers or your FSR need to know, then you would want to go ahead and enter them here. And this is also where you would want to enter any special instructions if there is a delivery address that is desired that is different from that garage address. So you would just enter them here. And then the next thing that's different, this is different from CAM, is that we're actually asking at the local level for them to read and acknowledge the following statement, that in accordance with ESA Section 141, a low greenhouse gas vehicle will be ordered for the SIN selected if applicable. If no low GHG vehicle is available, then a functional needs exemption will need to be on file with your agency. So this isn't something that as GSA that we're going to be policing. It's more of just a reminder that this is a requirement. And one of the things that we don't have in place for FY25, but we will hopefully have in place for the next acquisition cycle, is that we there is no ability right now, as I was making that SIN selection, to see which SINs have low greenhouse gas models available. So what we would encourage you to do, if you would like to select a SIN that has a low GHG model available, would be to use the FY25 alternate fuel vehicle or AFV guide. And we'll share a link for that within the presentation of where you can find that. But that will outline those SINs that do have the low greenhouse gas vehicles available, and that can help you in making your selection. These are also conversations that your FSR will have with you prior to placing a vehicle order. If they're unable to order a low greenhouse gas vehicle within a particular SIN that is required to comply with this mandate, then they will let you know so that you can ensure that you have that functional needs exemption or that F&E on file within your agency. So this is a requirement to check at this local level. And then the Bureau and the agency level approvers will be able to see that this has been read and acknowledged. So this actually completes the local level request process. So we go ahead and click on Save and Submit. And then it indicates here that we've successfully submitted the request to the next level. And as Chris outlined, that next level would actually be the FSR, who is going to take a look at that vehicle selection. And we're going to have that going on behind the scenes here. And they'll take a look at it. They'll look and see if it meets agency guidance, if there are any other concerns that they may have. And then the FSR will have the option either to return it back down to that local level for changes, or they can forward it to whatever the next level approver within that agency would be. So I'm going to actually stop sharing and let Chris share, and he is going to walk us through a bureau level approver and what action they need to take.
All right. Thank you, Amber. Can you see my screen all right?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to walk you all through as playing the role of the bureau level approver. So come here to the main screen of GSAFleet.gov. We go down to lease vehicles, just like we did as the local customer fleet manager. We click on Start Here under Request a Replacement Vehicle. It's going to, as I'm set up as a bureau level approver for our fictitious agency 22, that's already pre-selected. I can select my bureau here. And then over here under request status, I can go ahead and select bureau review. I also can use any of these filters that Amber was talking about earlier that the customer local fleet manager can utilize if I wanted to drill down to a specific, for example, license plate or a VIN, look up a specific vehicle that I was looking to review. I can put in my customer POC email, a BOAC. If I wanted to filter by old SIN or new SIN, and for example, I wanted to take a look at all requests for 105 alpha SIN selections, I could make that and review those as a group. But we're going to go ahead and select Bureau Reviewer here, then click Search. This will bring up the vehicle that Amber's made the selection on. We'll see that here the new SIN selection is a 9C. It is at request status of Bureau level review. It is a replacement vehicle type selection. Go ahead and open that up by clicking on the license plate. That'll bring up the details again of the old vehicle here. And if we clicked on that VIN number here at the top, that'd bring up even more detailed information on that current vehicle. Scroll down here, see that we have our replacement vehicle selection. Again, a 9C has been selected, a garage address, no projected towing weight. Good, that's a 9C sedan. We usually don't want to tow anything with that, so That's an excellent selection. We can view agency guidance here. This will open up a PDF document where you can review the agency guidance that your headquarter fleet manager has provided to GSA and that we have uploaded into the system here. You can also review activity and comments. We see the activity that this request has gone through so far. It was a selection was made by the local customer. It was then referred to the FSR to replace with an INC. The FSR reviewed it. That was done in the background. We didn't actually demo that, but that was done by our Simeon for us in the background between the local customer fleet manager, and he then reviewed it and pushed it on up to me here at the bureau level review. We also can post any comments if we wanted to as well, similar to what Amber showed, and that would just show up again here in the activity tracker, similar to the comment that demo that Amber demonstrated here. If we wanted to go back to looking at vehicles, our list of vehicles, we'd click this return to search button here, and that'd take us back one page. But continuing on here, we see more of the information that was selected. We have the options that were selected. For example, the only option that was selected here was the engine block heater. Can review that, make sure that's in accordance with any agency guidance. Do you require any specific make and model to meet your mission? Yes, we see that the local customer fleet manager entered a Nissan Altima, and they provided the required make and model justification. The document is attached here. This can be opened up for review to see if the justification meets the requirements for selecting a specific make and model. Any special instructions. Again, this is if you had any special instructions that you needed to communicate to the FSR or to the approver. For example, you needed the vehicle delivered to a location other than the garage address. For example, maybe if you needed it delivered to a location that's going to be upfitted before actually going on to the final location, or any other communication that you wanted to add here in the special instructions, it would show up in this box. Ensure that the checkbox has been selected for accepting making sure that we're in accordance with ESA section 141, and that if no low greenhouse vehicle is available, then a functional needs exemption will need to be on file for your agency in order to accept that vehicle. And then we have the options down here of the bureau level approver can either return the vehicle back to the customer if any changes or edits need to be made, and then the local customer fleet manager would then go in and make any of those edits and send it back through. But everything looks good here. Everything is in accordance with agency guidance. So as the bureau level approver, I'm going to go ahead and submit to the agency reviewer. Clicking this button, see that we have this confirmation message at the top. That tag number has been successfully submitted on. We go down and we see that nothing is in our default view, but if we wanted to see what was available here, we would see that our vehicle, our status now is in agency review and is gone on to the next level. So I will go ahead and turn it back over to Amber, who will be demonstrating the role of the agency reviewer in the next step.
Okay. Thanks, Chris. Are you able to see my screen okay?
Good to go.
Okay. So I am going to demo what action I would take as an agency level approver. I would want to, as I've mentioned a few times, make sure that I'm getting into GSAFleet.gov on a daily basis to see anything that might be ready for my review and approval. So I will go in and select the lease vehicle tile and then select start here. And this will bring up where I can search for my entire agency if I want to see everything regardless of the status, or I'm able to use any of the filters as Chris outlined. But if I want to search for just what is at my level awaiting action, I would click on agency review and then click search. And then we would see here this vehicle request that we've been pushing through the process. So we would see here that it's an agency review, that we're replacing a vehicle, and what the new SIN is. We go ahead and click on the license plate number. And this will be very repetitive of what Chris shared, because the action that the view and the action that the Bureau and the agency level can take are very similar. So I would also have the ability to view the eligible replacement vehicle details, click on the VIN for more information. I would have the ability to post a comment if needed. I can click on the activity and comments, and I can see now that it's worked its way through, and that Bureau review and approval was granted, and the date and time. I'm able to review the agency guidance as well. That will open up as a PDF document. And then I can look at the details of the replacement vehicle request, the garage address, towing weight, if applicable, any selected options and option comments that were entered. I can look at whether a specific make and model were requested. You can see here, yes, they were. And here is that documentation that I need to review to make sure it's valid. Any special instructions that have been input, that, color, different delivery location, whatever it might be. I can view that. And then I can see that the local level customer fleet manager has acknowledged this statement here regarding the ESA requirements. And then I have the ability to either return it to the customer. And if I click on that, it would require me to provide a reason for the return. And then I can click on return request, and it would go back down to the local level for changes. But for purposes of the demo, we're going to just go ahead and click approve. And then it indicates here that we've successfully submitted this request forward. And so if I want to go back and search and just see everything for my agency, we can see that this is now, we only have this one test license plate in here, but we can see that it's at approved at FSR status. So at this point, this is when the FSR will take that one final look. They will review everything very closely, any comments, document uploads, special instructions, options that are requested, and they'll go ahead and actually build a requisition in GSAFleet.gov. And like I mentioned, if there are any concerns, that's when they would do that outreach. And so if you just give me a moment, I'm going to actually switch us back over and share our slide deck.
Amber, while you're switching over, I just wanted to see a lot of Q&A coming in about not being able to see your vehicles yet in GSAFleet.gov. They're your referred vehicles for replacement. That is correct. You will not be able to see them yet. It will not be able to see them until the go live date of next week of 22 January. So if you're not seeing anything, good. You will see it on the 22nd, and it will go live. If you have not received your list of eligible vehicles, please work up through your chain, through your bureau, and to your headquarters fleet manager. Those were distributed out to your headquarter fleet managers. All the eligible vehicles. Can also contact your local FSR to discuss those as well.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, so just some things to highlight, and these are things that we did highlight along the way, but I just wanted to have them on a slide for your reference. And the first is about your garage address. So just a reminder that that will populate if an address has been entered into the customer-driven data. All of those address fields can be edited or added as needed. And if that vehicle does require a different delivery location, city and state, make sure you input that into the special instructions. We are looking at an enhancement, just to put that out there for the future, where you won't have to do that, and there would actually be a place where you could potentially select the alternate delivery city and state. But for now, we're going to make do, and we're going to put that in the special instructions field, and then also discuss that with the FSR for their awareness. And then the other thing that I had highlighted were that low GHG models are not highlighted. If you remember in CAM, they used to be. They used to there was a place that would indicate if they, at the top of the drop down of the vehicle type, it would show if there were low greenhouse gas models within a particular SIN. But we're not going to have that for FY25. So we're going to use that FY25 AFV guide to identify SINs with low GHG options. And then FSRs will notify local customers if a low greenhouse gas model cannot be ordered, so they can ensure they have the proper exemption, the F&Es on file. Additional things, approvers at all levels should make sure they're closely reviewing the agency guidance, the new replacement vehicle request information that's been input, any supplementary information, document uploads, and special instructions. And we also ask that FSRs review those closely as well when they're actually creating the vehicle requisition. And then just another note that requested options, colors, and make and model requirements are not guaranteed. And if there are any changes that will be required to any of those things, whether it's, the SIN, the options, colors, or specific requirements of vehicle model, the FSR will make sure to have those conversations with the local level prior to creating a vehicle requisition, so that they can make sure that they can get the vehicle ordered that would meet their mission requirements. And so now I believe I'm shifting it over to Chris, and he's going to walk us through some more helpful tips and resources.
All right, thank you, Amber. Yep, so we'll go over some helpful tips. A lot of these tips are carry over from past years, just general good rules of practice here to make sure that we get through the acquisition cycle as quickly and efficiently as possible. Again, this is a new system. GSAFleet.gov as a whole is a relatively new system here. So please get in there. If you haven't already, create an account, create a user account, get in contact with your local FSR to make sure your account is set up correctly, and familiarize yourself as much as possible with GSAFleet.gov. Attend at least one of our desktop workshop sessions. All of you are here today, so thank you for being here. You've accomplished that goal. If you want to attend another session, that'll be next Thursday on the 23rd. Will be a repeat of the session as well. Or if you know colleagues that want to attend the session, make sure that they attend that as well. Work closely with your FSR, identifying mission requirements for vehicles, any changes that you may need to a different type of vehicle, questions you have about different vehicles or SIN options or SIN availability. Review your agency guidance, the AFV product guide, and the rate bulletin. All of those are posted on GSAFleet.gov or on the GSA website. Check GSAFleet.gov daily for any required action. Again, there won't be email notifications going out saying that you have actions to take or that you have vehicles available at your level for review. The expectation is for now that users that are involved with GSA Fleet Leasing are logging in at least once a day to see if there's any vehicles or any actions that need to be taken at their level. Meet all the established deadlines, and even better, beat the established deadlines. If you day one vehicles are referred and they're available for you to make a selection, and you go ahead and select all your vehicles and make your selection, move them on to the next level, that's even better. You don't need to wait till the end of the deadline, the 2-week deadline, to push all those on. You could push them on to your FSR review, can go ahead and push them on to the bureau, the headquarter review, and you can get them all done as soon as possible. You don't need to wait for the several week timeline to get those all through, and then your vehicles can go ahead and get orders placed. Make sure that you're reviewing and approving all the vehicle selections at your level. Attach any pertinent documents. A lot of your agencies or bureaus have internal documents or requirements that are required in addition to any maybe GSA required documentation, such as justifications. But whether your agency requires VAMs or authorization letters or anything else that's internal policy to your organization, make sure you're attaching those documents so that your reviewers can see that those are attached and get those posted through. Use the comments section to communicate between approval levels and your FSR. That's a new feature, improved feature in GSAFleet.gov, and in this process where comments will be tracked and communication will be done better. In addition to posting comments, it's also a good idea to make sure you're communicating outside of GSAFleet.gov to between the different levels. Next slide, please. As we mentioned, daily automated notifications. There will not be any type of automated daily email notifications saying that there's action to be taken at your level or that a request was forwarded to the next level. Future enhancement that we're looking into for down the road is the ability to have those notifications and for users to be able to select whether to turn off or turn off these types of notifications. Recommend that users log into GSAFleet.gov daily to see if any actions are being taken. And then also we will be sending out an email notification to bureau and agency level approvers at 1 week and 1 day before established deadlines. That'll be coming from the gsa.fleet.acquisition at GSAFleet.gov email. So there will be that email reminder that we send out just to make sure that that everybody's staying on track with the deadlines that we've established. Next slide. There will be a return request notification if a request is sent back to the local customer fleet manager for any changes or reviews. A auto-generated email notification will be sent to that primary customer point of contact. So that is the one place where an auto-generated notice will be sent, letting them know that somebody somewhere in the review level that says that you need to make a change or a modification to your request. So go ahead and go in there and make your new selection or make your change or update any information and then send it on back up through review. Next slide, please. Go over a couple resources. Again, GSAFleet.gov is the new system. This is where you'll find the new request a replacement vehicle process for leased vehicles in GSAFleet.gov. You'll also be able to find the federal vehicle standards. This shows the standards, vehicle standards that are available for each fiscal year. You can also sign up and view the vehicle available listing. This recommend that you sign up for this. This will be an email notification letting you know when certain SIN or contract line items close out or open throughout the year, and it'll also show projected opening and closing dates of different SIN and models that are available in GSAFleet.gov. Next slide. Saw this a lot in the Q&A about viewing what type of vehicles are available. So there is the just browsing feature that is available to all users in GSAFleet.gov. So on the main page, if you scroll down, there'll be a tile under offerings for just browsing. You open that up and you can view all the SINs and makes and models and options that are available, currently available and open for ordering. This will not, you can simulate building an order to a degree, but you're not actually placing an order, but you're seeing how what vehicles are available, how they can be configured, and a lot of detailed information. So if you have not been into that, strongly suggest you get into that, hopefully before next week. Start playing around with that and seeing what might be available, for example, in your 9C or your 105A or your other models. To get familiar with that so that when selection time comes next week, you're ready to go ahead and go in and make your selections. Next slide. Some more helpful links. If you do not know who your FSR is, you can go on to gsa.gov. There's a page on there where you can find out who your local fleet service representative is. The fleet rate bulletin, this will show you what the leasing rates are for FY25 and what the different rates are based on the SIN selections, and that'll show you your monthly lease rates as well as your mileage rates. You can also view the fleet minimum replacement criteria. This is your age and mileage of vehicles. This is a minimum replacement requirement. So keep that in mind. This does not mean that your vehicle meets this age, this miles, that all of a sudden it disappears and a brand new vehicle all of a sudden shows up in its place. This means that at that point, GSA looks at adding it to the eligibility list for each fiscal year based on budget allocations and what we have available, adding it to the eligibility list to see whether or not it'll be getting replaced, an order replaced in that fiscal year. Lastly, we have the fleet alternative fuel vehicle information, excellent guides that are put together by our AFE team, provides a lot of information on fuel economy and different information on AFE. That it's a great guide if you haven't seen that yet. Next page. Some more resources, the help page and the GSAFleet.gov website. You can find step-by-step user guides based on different modules or sections of the GSAFleet.gov. You'll have PDF user guides, very detailed PDF user guides, as well as mini videos that walk in tutorials that walk you through different parts of the GSAFleet.gov. We'll shortly have some more information up there related to this presentation, such as the process and how users can go through and make their selections and the approval process. We'll have that up here shortly. You can look at different training offerings. And then there's also a fleet electrification info section, which is excellent for getting yourself familiar with electric vehicles, AFE type vehicles, and other information. And then the driver's glove box, where you can also find additional information. Next slide, please. Again, we completed the desktop workshop here today on the 14th. The next one is next week on the 23rd. So if you would like to attend that session again, receive this information again, or colleagues that missed this session, please encourage them to show up to that session. Next slide, please. So we would like to thank you all for attending this presentation. And we will have the presentation available shortly, as well as a recording. If you have any questions, you can email us at gsa.fleet.acquisition@gsa.gov. And again, would like to thank you all for attending, and we will open it up now to answering some more Q&A as time allows. So, see,
Chris, we got all sorts of questions here.
I do see we got a lot.
Yeah, here's an easy one. Jody asks, what was the date that vehicle replacement requests need to be submitted? Can you repeat that? So I know we're starting on the 22nd, but what were the dates again?
Yeah, I'll actually go ahead and throw that up here real quick. Okay, can we see these are the dates again? So this is our calendar here. So we start on the 22nd. Would like to have all the requests selected and onto the bureau level by the 7th of February. Then on to bureau level, send those on to the headquarter level by the 21st of February. And then headquarters, agency fleet managers, go ahead and have that onto the FSR by the 7th of March so that they can go ahead and get those submitted. And again, this is the timeline, but you can do better than the timeline. I mean, if you can get it all through on the 22nd, through all of your level approvers and up to your FSR, that's the ideal timeline. But this is what we would like to meet as far as the minimum timeline. Then after that, as we see here, once we are through the replacement request process and that's going smoothly, then we hope to have the additional request process for additional leased vehicles opening up in March, and that's tentative.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so we got a question here that says, Trisha asks, can we check through our FSR if our vehicle is up for renewal? And if so, is it possible to request a preferred type of replacement through the FSR pending approval? Sorry, I had a frog in my throat. Trisha, I'm going to go ahead and answer this one. So yes, your FSR can tell you which vehicles are eligible for renewal for sure. And then the feature that Chris and Amber demonstrated today is actually your way of putting in the request of what your preferred type of vehicle is. And then the FSR will review it that way before it goes on to being approved within your agency. So, Trisha, you can definitely check with your FSR and they'll let you know whether or not you have vehicles eligible for replacement this year. All right, I think Miguel, you had a bunch up at the top that you had marked as want to answer live. So one question is, would recently totaled vehicles be added to the eligible tag list? And that might be one that I actually need to answer as well. Vehicles that have been declared a total loss or are uneconomical to repair, we will be incorporating them into this request replacement workflow. However, we are not there yet. So those are still on hold for the time being. I've been providing the recommendation to some users in the chat though, that if they have a very urgent need, reach out to their FSR. They may have a vehicle that could be rehomed and could get you on the road. Or always our short-term rental program is also a possibility. All right, I'll keep going. There are lots of questions.
Hey,
So,
Chris, hey, this is Dan Buckingham.
Go ahead, Jen.
Chris, there was a lot of questions in there, or I've seen a lot of questions in there asking about the approval hierarchy and how they can send that in. Can you just touch on that?
Yeah, Dan. So we sent out a template to the agency headquarter fleet managers to fill out their approval hierarchies, where they would list their bureau approvers and agency approvers, as well as their alternates if they chose to do that. So those were sent out to the agency headquarter fleet managers. If any agency headquarter fleet managers are on here and did not see it or need that be sent out to them again, please contact us at GSAFleet.acquisition@GSA.gov, and we will send that back out to you. We would like to get those in as soon as possible so that they are in there and loaded and ready for the process starting next week. Does that answer everything for Dan?
Yep, that's good. Yep. Just wanted to make sure we covered that because there was quite a few of that same question.
Yep.
Thanks.
Another question we got was regarding additional training materials. So will there be a tutorial on GSA Fleet showing this process that they can refer to? The answer to that, short and sweet, is yes. Just as all of the GSAFleet.gov help materials are posted on our help page on GSAFleet.gov, we will also be adding not only a video tutorial, basically what Amber and Chris have demoed today, but there will also be a user guide that is uploaded there. We're just waiting on some closed captioning come back from our Office of Strategic Communications. So more to come, but we do anticipate it getting posted by no later than the 24th. All right, trying to find some more questions here. What are the start and end dates for us to complete vehicle replacement cycle? I think we may have already gotten to that one, Joyce. But just to remind you, it starts on the 22nd and we are looking to end it, I think, Chris, what was that date?
March 7th.
March 7th.
March 7th, perfect. Let's see. So a question here. Some of these are systems related and some of these are not, but this one is, if an agency determines a vehicle should not be replaced, what reason would GSA have to deny the request? So if the agency says that they would like to hold on to it, what reason would GSA have to deny the request?
Sorry, Genevieve, can you repeat that one? I missed
Sure.
the first part of it.
Yeah. So Dan, the question is, if an agency has said, please do not replace this vehicle, hold on to it, what reason would GSA give to not allow them to hold on to it?
I mean, it's going to it's going to be like a case by case thing. So, I mean, I'd start out by saying that that's the kind of thing you want to work out with your FSR directly. But there can be a lot of reasons, I guess. I mean, ones that come to mind is if there's really high maintenance issues with the vehicle, or the age of the vehicle. If it's geez, I mean, it's really a case by case thing. So without having details, it's kind of hard to say. But those are a couple of things that come to mind.
Thanks, Dan. I think bottom line is definitely have the conversation with your FSR and the fleet manager, and hopefully you guys can work out what needs to happen. Different question. Michael asks, the old CAM had us request a marshaller city or a delivery city. Does this system have this capability? So in old CAM, you are correct. It did have you put in a delivery city and potentially a delivery state. In GSAFleet.gov, we are using the garage address of the vehicle to basically tell us where that vehicle needs to be delivered to. We need to get it as close as possible to that garage address. If for some reason you do not want it delivered to near where the vehicle is actually going to be garaged, please use those special instructions that Amber showed you on the request page to make it very clear to the FSR that the vehicle needs to be delivered to an alternate location. That particular component of the screen is really a place for you as our local customers or as our customers to tell us, is there anything we missed, anything we haven't asked you about this vehicle that you really want to make known to us? And so for sure, definitely make sure that that garage address accurately reflects where the vehicle is going to be operated, one. And then two, if you do want to specify that, you can use special instructions and input that. Samuel Carter asks, how do I send the agency guidance for my agency to be uploaded? Amber, you want to take that one?
Sure. Would be provided to us by just the agency headquarter fleet manager. And that can actually be sent. Well, that POC should have received a questionnaire that helps pull together the guidance with a list of questions that we're asking. And if you need that to be resent, you would want to email the GSA.Fleet.acquisition@GSA.gov. That would be the place that you would send it. And also you can request a questionnaire. But again, this would only be coming from the agency headquarter fleet manager for a particular agency. I see a question in here from Richard Dudley about mid-level and headquarters that had made changes to a request without communication. And so when the vehicle arrives for replacement, that local level is unaware of the changes and customers are upset. This actually, as we did the demo, shouldn't really be an issue because for this year, at least, we are not allowing our bureau level or agency headquarter level to actually change a request. They have to enter a comment and return it back down. And if something is returned back down with a comment to make a change, and it would result in a vehicle that wouldn't meet your mission, then we would highly encourage you to have that communication with either your bureau or agency level approver regarding that, so they can be aware of why that vehicle won't work. So I think that's important to have those conversations there to ensure that the vehicle that is ordered and delivered can meet your mission. I saw another question about the that came in from Christina about the new customer leasing acquisition guide. We are still working on finalizing that. It required a lot of updating based on the new system and process. So we will make sure that that is shared out once it's finalized.
We've been getting a couple of questions about the replacement criteria that GSA is using this year and any changes. I don't know Do we have anyone on this call that's able to discuss that? If not, maybe we can add somebody for next week's call to speak to that. I think the only thing I can say, Diane, and a couple others that have asked that question. So GSA does follow the FMR minimum requirements as to when we replace vehicles. However, that is just that, a minimum requirement. And so there are some other factors that we have been taking into account, maintenance, repair costs, and other ones that I cannot enumerate off the top of my head. So hopefully we can get somebody on the call next time to speak to how we determine what's replacement eligible. But there hasn't been too much of a shift that I am aware of, other than we are starting to factor in some of the maintenance level stuff.
Genevieve, I'll jump in. So on our website, we do have GSA's minimum replacement criteria, but to Genevieve's point, it's just minimum replacement criteria. So we determine which vehicles that we will present to you as eligible based on, as Genevieve said, a variety of factors from your mileage to your age to some of those M&R and other factors. But every year we decide what quantity of total vehicles that we'll recommend to you. And that's our decision there. And then of course, our FSRs work with you to determine which vehicles you will ultimately replace.
Thanks, Stephanie. All right, I know that we are at time. So we can get one more question, just for one more. Beverly asks, so how long does it take for the whole process to go through before receiving the replacement vehicle? I feel like that answer might depend, but somebody want to tackle that one? So from the time it's requested to the time that it's been ordered to the time the manufacturer brings it in or delivers it.
Yeah, that's really a tough one to answer. How long it would take, it depends on the vehicle type, and it depends on how quickly it goes through it depends on a lot of things. It depends on how quickly it goes through your approval process at your agency, and then how quickly we can order it. Again, depending on vehicle type and vehicle availability, and then how long it takes the supplier to build the vehicle and deliver the vehicle. So, say your standard sedan, if we go live on the 22nd and it goes through your approval process, in the system, within a week or two, and then it's a basic sedan with not a lot of options, and it goes to the FSR and the vehicle's open and ready to order in that SIN, because that's the other piece of it, is we have to have vehicles available from the suppliers to order. So if the vehicle's open, the FSR could place an order within that couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks after the 22nd at the latest. And then delivery timelines vary as well by SIN. So if it's a sedan, I think they're closer to, like 180 days delivery on some of that stuff, 150 days. If it's a bus or something like that, you're looking at a year. So it really depends on the types of vehicles you're looking at, and how complicated the order is, and how it moves through the approval process, and how quickly. Hopefully that helps. I don't know if I answered it.
Yeah, Dan, and I will add on to that. If you go to the just browsing feature and you pull up SIN, make, and models, there are provided estimated delivery dates that manufacturers have provided, such as 120 days, 180 days, 365 days, that have been provided as an estimate that can give you a general idea of how long from the time that the order is submitted to delivery.
Yeah, and those are good point, and thank you, Chris. Those are shipment times, so that's how long the supplier is allowed to ship the vehicle from where they produce it to where we ask it to be delivered to. Pardon me, it's the time they have to build the vehicle and to ship it. It's not that does not include the time it takes to deliver it to its final location. So just keep that in mind, that if a vehicle says it'll be built and the shipment time is 150 days, for example, it may take it another 2 weeks on top of that 150 days or 3 weeks or whatever it is if it's going across the country. So and then once it reaches a GSA fleet marshaler, then that process can take a few days before it becomes available. So like Chris said, you can use that as a good guideline to see how long a vehicle build can take to get built and shipped from the supplier. But then just know on the back end, it's going to take some time to actually deliver it from where it's being built to the final location, and to get it into your hands.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. I think long story short, Beverly, is we're not pulling these vehicles off of lots that are just sitting there, right? These vehicles are actually being ordered from manufacturers and being produced. So it's not an overnight process. Sometimes we get lucky and they might pull one off of a lot somewhere, but generally speaking, it is exactly as how Dan and Chris have described it. Right, let's see.
Hey, everybody. I know that there's technically still a lot of individual questions and things that are in the Q&A box. There's no way we will have time to get through all of them. I would say if there are one or two like kind of buckets of things that you've seen several things being asked about that you can kind of tackle several questions with some information, I think we can hit that. Otherwise, it may be time to just say, sorry, everybody, we can't get to all of the questions, and we'll reach out with follow-ups if need be. There's just no way we're going to get to everything.
Yeah, agreed. Here's one question that I think we could end on. So Todd asks, where can I get a copy of the presentation? I think we can probably reshare the email one more time. I will put it in the chat. Find everyone here. Hold on.
I did see a comment from someone who had emailed the email address that you're going to put in there, Genevieve, the GSAFleet.acquisition@gsa.gov, and it didn't go through. So if that does happen, you can always email me, amber.robles@gsa.gov, if you have any issue emailing the acquisition mailbox email address that we provide. I already see maybe close to 300 requests for copies of the slides have come in, so.
We'll be sending those out as soon as we can.
Yep. And we just want to thank everybody again for taking the time to attend today. We know it's a lot of new information, and this is going to be brand new for everybody. So just a reminder to stay patient and flexible and keep those lines of communication open. And we're hoping for a successful acquisition cycle.